trying to find what was in John's background that was not PR friendly, and I realized it was just the camera being on. The fact that the camera was on. It's been a long day. I was like, what is that board behind him? What does that mean?
Wait, what time zone are you in? Oh, right, you're in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get started. I'll screen share. So, welcome everyone. It's February 21st for the Gnoland core team developer weekly edition. To get started, we're going to do the first section, which is the what to know section. So the TLDR. Basically, the portal loop is live, which is great news. I don't know if Manfred's here and wants to give just a quick update on what's next in the plans.
Yep, so portal loop is released but not finished. We need to add a faucet, we need to save the history, we need to add a way to patch Genesis just for portal loop for two reasons. One is to customize portal loop. The second one is to have some kind of moderations. So if at some point a contract we don't want is uploaded, we can start cleaning up this special instance and same for accounts, etc. Basically, we can make a Genesis patch to prevent bad behaviors until they're fixed. And what else? So yeah, it's live. Gno.land is not a static website anymore, but a blockchain. Everything you see is now based on two things. One, source code from the main monorepo, and two, the transactions that happened and that are replayed each time. So if something is wrong, looking wrong, if something is missing, you can try to interact with contracts or to open a PR on the main repo. And soon we'll have the Genesis patch method. So at some point, everything becomes customizable. So yeah, in 2 weeks, we should have maybe a demo because right now we have just a few accounts that are able to interact with the chain until we have the faucet. And we still have some details to fix. So yeah, in 2 weeks, a demo. And I think once it's done, the goal is to start about testnet 4, which will be not a staging with auto-reload one like the portal loop, but one with consistent, let's say, block height increase, because portal loop each time it start from block 0. And if you are writing any tool that want to synchronize block, like an indexer, portal loop is definitely not a good network. So yeah, 2 weeks of demo and expect new discussions regarding testnet 4.
Okay. So I guess off to then pull request 1654 about bumping minimal Golang. Is this added by you, Leon?
No, it was added by me. We just bumped the minimal version of Golang from 120 to 121 since the release of Go 122. So that's it. I feel it's really important to mention.
Yeah,
No.
as always, we're supporting the previous two versions of Go, like the current and the previous one, which are the officially supported Go versions anyway from the official core team. And yeah, simply a bump to keep up to speed with that, and means we can, if you want to make PRs, you can now start using things like the slices package and other nice things that the Go team has added recently.
Cool. Next up, consensus on one of the longest running longest running discussions ever.
We finally decided what to do with the cert origin call, and summary of the behavior which is going to happen. There is one last big comment by that one, where I summed up the discussion we had during the call. The 10-foot summary is that a cert origin call will explicitly make sure that the function, the realm function in which it's called, is being called directly through message call. So it cannot be called through message run or any other system. And this should essentially be like a UX decisions for the functions which you want the users to explicitly sign, instead of being like potentially being called through another realm or being called through message run. And we will also be removing get origin call in favor of prev realm .addr, whatever it is. Tomas will be working on that, and it's been a long time coming. I think we spent like just this last call 1 hour and a half on it. I'm glad that's sorted out.
That is a very long one. Then we've got pull request number 1624 around the setting benchmarks for NoVM, which that's good news.
Yeah. So this was a simple PR that adds some first benchmarks to the GNOVM specifically, right? So this test tries to bring over the GNO benchmark system into GNOME, although not directly. This is like currently just for testing the VM, so you can't use testing.b yet in your GNOME test files. But it does mean that we have an objective value to like see if a PR is negatively impacting execution performance. A few notes on this. I'll still be trying to work for to make so that the results of the benchmarks and their comparison against master is available is automatically posted for each PR, probably through a CI pipeline. So that's one thing. That's one thing on like in the work still. There's like already some occasions where this PR where this benchmarking suit has proven to be useful in sort of finding out where we were negatively affecting performance. What else? Yes, if you like right now there are only 3 test files, which are kind of some basic tests. There's a Fibonacci recursive function test. There's a test which checks how quickly we can loop through n values, and then there's a PR, and then there's a file which goes through like matrix stuff. It calculates like the determinant of a 6x6 matrix. If you know linear algebra, you know what that means. If you don't know linear algebra, it's like incredibly computationally expensive, and it's a good benchmark. I found it found some good cases where there are significant slowdowns. So yeah, if you find like other cases which you think would be like could sort of point out to other bits of the GNOVM which wouldn't be as clearly benchmarked by these cases, please do add them. This suite is incomplete. But yes, that's all there is to it. I'll also be working to try to complete Antonio's work on the benchmarking system. And that should mean that at one point we should be able to see like the change in performance over time with a web dashboard and graphs, which would be very nice. Well, yeah. Eventually, we'll get there.
Okay, so moving on, I think this is Christoph, the Adena wallet. security audit. I think this is our first one included on the developer call.
Yeah, just briefly, we set aside some time to look at Adena, and there's a report that you can look at. Overall, it's looking quite good, and there's still more stuff to look at there, but it was happy with how things are looking and getting into the swing of things with audits. I'll mention this week I'll be taking a look at Gno.key more directly as well.
Out of curiosity, are these things that we will share openly, like publicly, or will they stay for internal?
For something like Adena, that would be up to Block to decide. So I just shared privately with them and with some team members within AIB. They could kind of decide whether they want to disclose that or not. For our internal audits, I think we might make them publicly available. I'm certainly open to discussion about that. Kind of depends on the level of polish and how consumable they are. If there's any important security issues, obviously there needs to be a period of time where you don't show your cards and you fix things. But over time, I'm typically in favor of defaulting to open sourcing.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if I should click on the link since we record and publish the calls. I don't know.
I would love if you'd open the report and there's like a huge bold red text security vulnerability.
Well,
Do
that's
not
why I said it.
disclose.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I throw it out there whether that's something we want to start including in our public communications. So I don't know, Dongwon or team, if you guys have any updates or want to add to that, but
Yeah, I would like to say thank you, Crystal, for your thorough review on Adena. It's really great, and we're now addressing the issues raised in the report, and it's expected to be finished this Friday. So we will request for the final review when we are done. And if it's okay with you, after we fix all the issues, we would like to openly share this report in the Adena repo, if that's okay with you and the team.
any objections?
Yeah, sounds good. I just want to say that a lot of work goes into every Adena release. It's thousands and tens of thousands of lines of code. So yeah, just a shout out to them for keeping everything running and secure and
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we'll go on Block publicly. Okay, so next up is we break down into what's planned for the next 2 weeks. Looks like we've got further improvements on the portal loop. Is this maybe Albert wants to cover it, or Milos or Guillem?
Is Albert even here? Oh yeah, he is.
You say portal loop 3 times, right? Isn't Albert supposed to appear?
I think he dies after the third.
But yeah, aside from that, I think like Manfred already provided an update on the portal loop in this regard, right?
Okay.
So, there's still some work to do, and Albert's still wrangling configurations and everything. And if you're curious about the infrastructure, there's a link to the PR there. But, yeah, it's essentially what Manfred already told us about.
Yeah, and if you want to get an update, I updated the initial issue, which is linked from this PR with new updates.
Okay, I will grab that link later and add it here. Okay, moving on. Harium, working on an implementation of versioning. Harium, are you here and want to run us through? Or maybe Milos or someone from the team? How this?
Harium said it has mic issues.
Okay.
So yeah, this PR, as far as I know, is ready to be viewed. Harium has been requesting feedback from the team for 3 weeks now, I think. So we need to get back to him on that. And yeah, this is just like an initial proposal for how we can do versioning through semantic versioning for packages and realms. Yeah.
Okay.
Just requires input from the team.
All right.
And from anyone else who wants to pitch in, of course. Like, we don't want to figure it out alone. If you have ideas like of how versioning should work, please to join in the conversation.
So open for everyone. Okay. Looks like next up we're tackling the Novium debugger. I think probably Morgan. No, Mark.
Yeah. So the PR for the debugger is now in a state where it can be reviewed and merged before adding more feature on it. As you see, I added a small demo on it to give you a feel of the work. And what is interesting since last time is that I have added an expression evaluator which can allow to dive in complex data structures like structures, pointers, arrays, and things like that. So it's really starts to be useful as a normal debugger, I would say. So I'm now waiting for feedbacks and merging, and then I will have some advanced features on it. So the plan feature is first to be able to attach to a program which has not been started at all with a debugger, and to have the same kind of ability to attach to it. And then I also want to be able to plug these debugger functions into IDEs and into, for example, Visual Studio or this kind of environments. But for that, I need first the foundations to be fully stable and this work to be stabilized. So that's it.
It's so cool to have the live demo here. Okay, Milos and Petar, you want to grab the next one about the state machine logic?
Yeah. You can open the link. Yeah, algorithm one.
No security.
Yeah, scroll down.
Yep.
There should be one page that says algorithm one. You'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically what Petra and I are working on is we're working on a standalone library. Currently the working name that we have is Go Tendermint. What it is, it's essentially a consensus engine implementation in Go for Tendermint. So whatever is outlined here in algorithm one. The reason we're kind of working on this is actually a few reasons. One of the reasons is we want a clean implementation for the consensus state machine. The second one is we need to have pluggable validator sets for our consensus. And the third one is it's just, I think, like a huge part of an open source of like an open source contribution, right? So something that other projects can utilize. I know a lot of projects in the blockchain space implement Tendermint on their own. And having a library like this where they don't need to essentially worry just about the state machine, I think it's very powerful. This just the disclaimer, like this library itself, it doesn't implement any of the networking logic, any of the signing logic. It doesn't manage the validator sets for you. It's something that's managed outside where you as the user of this library need to provide like implementations of adapt interfaces, right? This is just purely the state machine. So yeah, it's been in the works, I think, for a few weeks now. I think it's going to take us probably a few more weeks to finish and get everything ready. We've already lined up Christoph for an initial internal audit of it, which is, I think, is going to be fun for him because he has a white paper to work out of. And yeah, we should be seeing, just a more stable and hopefully faster implementation for the consensus.
What is the approach for creating this? The name I would suggest libtendermint, but
yeah, we can change it in orders.
How are we gonna? Is it extracting the code and modifying the code, or starting from scratch?
No, it's completely starting from scratch. The code that's currently for the state machine within Tendermint 2 is intertwined with other logic like set management and signing and event systems and networking and stuff like that. And we just wanted to implement the base of the consensus engine here in this library. But the general idea is within Tendermint 2 we're going to import this library and just build out everything around it, right?
Okay, can we have a meeting about that? Because
Yeah, sure, of course.
Consensus. The consensus package should, yeah, let's talk about it in a separate meeting. Okay, that sounds good. So, you and Peter?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? All right, if anyone else wants to join, please ping any of us, especially Milos and Peter, and we'll get that going sometime this week. Thank you.
I will be an honorable attendee to that meeting.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so the conclusion on that is follow-up. I think maybe Christoph on the security auditing of Noki.
Not much more to say about that other than that we're planning to audit Noki. Yep.
Is there a time frame out of curiosity, or?
Good question. Not one established, but it would probably be something that we would time box for a week or two. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Moving on to the second section of which is more focusing on the Gnoland blockchain. As we know, looks like Nomad. I don't know, issue 1407. I think this is also maybe Harium.
Yeah, still make issues. So this one just essentially lists why the package is needed by the package you're currently in. So essentially, it says why is it being kept by Gnomod Y, Gnomod tidy. Sorry. It's complementing on the basic functionality that is being added for Gnomod, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Looks like the next one is the calling messaging run, package path 1645.
So this is a slight API change we added. So because you don't because we're in the GNOME VM, when you use message run internally, we already forced the package path that they had to use to be Gnoland /r/advis/run. Now, what this PR is doing is that maybe we were not forcing it anyway. This PR actually enforces it at the level of the VM keeper. So that's the part which handles incoming messages for the GNOME VM, and it sort of forces it to that, and in such a way that if you're sending a transaction, you don't actually have to specify the package path, which reduces the size of the transaction itself by probably, I don't know, 10 bytes, which still adds up. So this change has been reflected in Gno.land and all other places like GNOKey and so on within the GNO repository. But yeah, now it will now the method will return an error if you try to pass anything which is not the empty string or Gnoland/r/address/run.
Didn't we agree in the 1048 in the longest running assert origin call one that the package path for message run will be blank string?
Yes. Well, this PR was before that discussion, and on top of that, I think we want to do it that way, and I wrote that down, and it is going to be implemented. Just not yet. Probably probably at the level of the GNO VM, maybe implicitly not visible within the GNO VM. It's still going to be either Gnoland/r/run or Gnoland/u/address, right, as we were discussing.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Right. We don't know yet whether it'll be the same package as a message call or not. Right. But either way, yeah, it'll be a simple fix. Okay.
Next up is a celebration for Milos, I guess.
The transaction archive tool.
No, the removal of the GNOTX sync. Well, whatever. Basically, okay. You want to go? Please go.
Yeah. So we have some legacy tools that we've implemented in other repositories. GNOTX sync is just one of them. It's basically just a backup and restore tool. We have a completely brand new, shiny, new car smelling tool called TX Archive that does all of this for you. And we've kind of done this for the majority of the tools, the faucet included. The problem with the faucet, and there's an active PR open for replacing it and adding utilizing Gnoland faucet, is it's very much it's got hands, so it's very hard to swap out some of the legacy pieces for it, because the response parsing and the way you actually receive funds on the legacy faucet and the new faucet is completely different. So yeah, those things are in the works. So we're just reconfiguring like the active tools that we have in the monorepo and swapping them out for either the same tools, new tools in the monorepo or other repos. Morgan, you can add it if I miss anything.
Nope, that was perfect.
Does it still fetch the transactions one at a time?
For the archive, or?
Yeah, for the archive. Yeah, I don't remember how GNOTX sync works exactly, but I remember it being really kludgy originally.
I'm actually not sure. When I wrote this tool, it's been at least a few months.
Okay,
I need to check. But yeah, there should be like some smarter batching logic in it.
Okay, that's awesome.
Okay.
Next up is for Github.
Yay! The auto reload.
Yeah, I think this pull request is actually done. It's in a review process and it will be merged soon, I think. It's not a big deal. It's worked great, and I really want to merge this. That's it. Nothing to add on this one. It's there for a long time, but it will be merged soon. I think I address all the comments Morgan made for me. So yeah.
So essentially, yeah, this is making officially Gnodev very, very close to npm run dev on modern projects.
Yeah, exactly.
So whenever you change something in Realm, it just automatically refreshes the page, and you can immediately see what's happening. And it makes us feel like we are actually in the 21st century. So thanks, Gnoland, for that.
Yeah. It's actually also reacting for when you add transactions. So when you interact with Gnoki with it will reload the page also, not only when you make change. So yeah, that's
Okay. A split of our demo users underway. Pull request 1433. Since Hiriam has audio issues, can someone grab it as the update?
So this one is splitting RDMO users into PDMO users. And the reason we're doing this right now is because after this, we can effectively, for a bit, importing realms from packages. There's a separated discussion going on that. But essentially, that's the direction we're trying to take. Essentially, RDMO users is the only circumstance where a package is actually importing it, and this way we can remove all dependencies from packages onto realms. And yeah, another important change in the repo. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it, I think. Next up is Leon.
Yay. This is a good one.
Yep. So in short, this PR just add some updates to the Realm blog, to the package itself. Essentially, it's going to be sorting the posts by publication date in this case. It's also adding a bit of a better rendering. If you scroll down a little bit, Michelle, you'll see, for example, that specific post. Before that, it was no the link, the images. Sorry. So you see how there was like a breadcrumb on top, like this Gnoland, this blog /p/first post. Now in the bottom, it's just the title itself. So I've been working on that, and that should be merged in soon. And hopefully, with that, we'll have a decently looking blog on the portal loop. So yeah, that's about it.
Yay. And in chronological order.
Yeah, that's right.
That's nice. Cool. Okay, and the last one we've got, I guess, to work on for the next 2 weeks is the Gnoland config and Gnoland secrets command sheets. Is this you, Morgan? Again?
Milos.
Okay, sorry, Milos.
Yeah. This is sadly the fourth week we've been talking about these PRs. So essentially, it's just a command line suite. One of them is for managing the configuration toml. So you can change different parts of the configuration, like the RPC configuration, the P2P configuration. This enables you to craft tutorials or just like setups for multi-node networks. This is actually how we tested out the multi-node support. And the config, the secrets command suite is just a command suite that allows you to generate secrets and manage secrets. The secrets that you manage, of course, are just like the node key and the validator key, and also a consensus optimization called last signed validator state. So yeah, you can generate these, you can read them, you can manipulate them, do whatever you want. You need kind of this functionality to read, for example, like what is your node ID, right? When you're connecting to other peers, you need to read the node key and just give this data to somebody else, and then they using their configuration toml, they can add you as like a permanent peer. So yeah, it's just like part of the workflow where we want to set up a basically a two command start. So you do Gnoland init, which initializes everything locally for you, and you do Gnoland start, which starts the node for you. But if you want to have a more like fine-grained support, for example, you have like your own local testnet, or you want to start a local testnet, you can do it. You just use a combination of these commands with like the Genesis command that's already inside the code base. So it's just part of this kind of ecosystem that we're building, where you can use as few commands as possible to just get up and running, but also have configurability if you need it, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, we're gonna have documentation tutorials for this when these are merged. So yeah, they're just waiting for feedback from the team.
Also quite an extensive one. Okay, so now we finished, and I guess I just want to point, like, are there any questions from, because I know we've added some new people to the call. I'm not sure if they're here, but are there any questions on the first section that we need to cover?
I have actually one question for Jay. Kind of like random, slightly not for the contributor call. For the secrets management, I'm curious, why do we use like a separate key for the peer-to-peer communication, and why do we use a separate key for the actual validation? So the validator has one key, and for your peer-to-peer connections you have another key, but they're the exact same signing scheme, so you can theoretically reuse one key for the other.
Well, let's see, maybe one is you don't want to tell, you might not want to tell, just because you run a validator and you want peers to connect to you, doesn't mean you want them to connect directly to your validator node. So you should probably, a validator still might have multiple nodes, many that are kind of proxy sitting in front of your validator node to protect it and for throughput purposes. So you probably want multiple nodes anyways. Another is, well, I think that's the main one. Another one is, I don't know, I feel like the validator signing device, well, the validator signature might be held in a hardware signer, and that hardware signer is arguably better. It's better if its scope is limited to what it can sign for consensus, and arguably if you allow that key to sign node stuff, if there's a vulnerability to node, then you might accidentally get it to sign things you don't want it to sign, and so on. So it's the purpose is to isolate the validator private key to only signing consensus activity. That way, the hardware signer might have in the future perhaps some additional safety checks in the signer too. And I don't think anyone's really designed that, but it's possible.
Got it.
And for key rotation, no?
Huh?
For potentially also develop in the future key rotation.
Yeah. Every time you reboot a full node, you might even want to change the key to really give people sort of zero knowledge about your node. But also, I mean, I think it's also meant to be flexible. So if you want to create an association, you can. I think one of the things we want to do is actually register full nodes on the chain itself, so you can see, maybe even how the network looks like, right, of all the connected full nodes, and maybe the full nodes are also incentivized to participate. So that way, imagine instead of like having right now, if you want to connect to a full node, you have to go to GitHub, for item one, for Gaia, you have to go to GitHub, Cosmos, testnets, right? Or like mainnet or chain, I forget what the thing is. There's a repo that has all the information for various Cosmos chains. But I feel like that should be the chain itself, ideally. So if you want to connect to a full node, you should be, ideally you can just look up the chain and kind of get at least a subset of whitelisted full nodes that are being paid by the system to be up. And also, these full nodes should be self-paying. It'll be great if people can just pay to talk to a full node, right? So it'll create a marketplace of full nodes too in the future. Not that often motion to register.
Okay, should we, does that, I guess, resolve, like, should we move on to section 3 with Michael? To give us an update on DAO and economics?
All right. Well, it's been a really big couple weeks here in terms of deliverables on our end. Last night around 1 a.m., ended up calling it around 3, got the first successful test of our Game of Realms and later mainnet contributor profile system. This has been like my own personal Gno chess Vietnam. I have probably 60, 70, 80 contributions on this one thing alone. And I thought, oh, it's only going to be, you know, a few hundred lines of code. And it kind of was, but we have about every single org level restriction possible, and for good reason. And a bunch of small other headaches with GitHub Actions and making sure that everything formatted properly and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it created a profile last night, so that is exciting. So basically, I'm going to redo the whole README this week now that we got it in a start. But yeah, if you want to click that contributor section and then click my name. So basically what I did is last night I opened a draft PR. It went and checked. It said, oh, Michael doesn't have a profile folder in the contributors directory. So it created me one. It then initializes me a blank README, which we can rename to resume.markdown or cv.markdown. That's essentially going to be like a resume that a contributor can fill out to tell us more about them. Notable contributions is what we've already been kind of manually using on GitHub. It's kind of like a more persistent mad props, like what we use on Slack for very specific contributions. And then the contributions.csv, if you want to click that, is going to be the bulk of this kind of logging and data management for now. So when I created the draft PR, it gives me a timestamp of when I created it, what I named it, PR number, repo, etc. Whenever I change it to ready for review, it'll also take that date. It'll take some basic metrics. We can add whatever we want here now that I actually have it working. And this will continually update over time, and there will be a separate kind of summary script that is able to very quickly at a glance give just some basic metrics to assist in the evaluation process of Game of Realms, but then also mainnet, just one extra tool to make it easier to determine when somebody is ready to be promoted up or down the tier list. Again, this will most immediately be useful for Game of Realms since it'll act as kind of an official submission system whenever someone submits a PR. Ideally a draft PR, but I actually added last night that if they forget to do it as a draft PR and do it as a normal PR, it'll still work. So that functionality is added, but as soon as they submit that way, they'll get a comment thanking them for their submission and letting them know they'll have a manual review in the near future. Then it'll pull all of that data to the CSV. I'm going to add some more features to that CSV over the next week or so. And then eventually that CSV, the reason we're starting with CSV is it'll be in, for starters, it's human readable for perhaps some contributors that maybe upload a YouTube link they made for us instead of code, but also because we'll be able to beam that directly to Dylan's Oracle he's building, and then through our new Portal Loop website, we'll be able to display things like newest contributor, newest PR, etc. Especially as we become more decentralized and it goes towards a lot of community contributions. People will be able to essentially have a lot of that straight on the website itself, just as one more dynamic feature. So that's been a work in progress for quite a while. We kind of started that, revamping that in earnest after the France trip. And at least I believe the fingers crossed hard part should be over with it. And now I can finish adding features and optimizing it, making the GitHub action files a little bit more efficient, etc. So that'll be the game plan going forward here. And I meet with Morgan and John about that this or next week, just to keep going through bug testing and stuff. Also, I was able to take a break. You could tell that was frustrating because I took 2 breaks to build 2 separate simulations during its production window, which would otherwise be entire tasks on their own. But in this case, they were they were nice changes of pace where I have mostly finished a Flipando analysis framework, basically a script with all of the parameters and variables clumped at the beginning, so we can very quickly change any number of parameters we want. That has basically built to do what if scenario analysis, best case, worst case, something in between. Typically, I'll do 2 shades of best and worst case. Sensitivity analysis, if we change this variable, how much does it change the other variables? And then what I think is fascinating and what I didn't originally realize about Flipando is how cool the value capture and economic aspects of it are, where it's kind of a self-contained loop, like almost like a self-contained flywheel in a sense, where you solve a puzzle. That puzzle gives you a basic NFT of whatever that puzzle looks like, plus some locked flip tokens. Then whenever somebody else uses your basic NFT that you got from creating that puzzle within a more complex NFT that is, you know, maybe 64 of these small puzzles stitched together to make a real image, and as those number of small NFTs used and grow and grow, you can think of like those pictures where it's like, you know, 1,000 pictures of a person, but then you zoom out and it looks like their face. That's kind of the idea here, but with puzzles, and you stack those puzzles to make more and more complex pictures. But whenever that basic NFT does get used to create a larger image, it unlocks those tokens, and then the person can sell that complex NFT that they created for those flip tokens. So this, you know, you basically buy the NFTs with tokens that you minted from building blocks for those NFTs, basically. So it's a really novel system. I think it's a cool experiment. This will make it easy to test. There will be some, you know, there's some graphical elements. It'll chart stuff for us automatically, give us some cool over time metrics. I'm sure Dragos and I will continue working on it once I throw it on GitHub this week. And yeah, I think that'll just be cool to explore over time here and look at some different scenarios there. I might also add an option to export a Excel sheet for anybody that prefers that format. Similarly, Atom 1 has a similar framework, except geared for the eventual atone distribution. Was originally building it for GovGen, but after talking to Giuseppe and us basically already knowing what we're doing with GovGen, basically a 1-to-1 distribution, this gives me more time to flesh it out for the eventual Atom 1 airdrop. This will be made kind of discussed in the town hall that John and I sat in for, was basically this will allow both coders and non-coders to help participate in that conversation. Similarly, they can change, there's a dashboard that I created for it, so they can change all the variables. Okay, we want prop 848 and prop 82 to equally impact the final distribution. Or actually, no, we find prop 848 more important, so it should actually be 70% of the multiplier weight, etc. How much each vote option affects the ending distribution. Basically, every knob I could think of that could be discussed as part of this process with the community as we figure it out. I've added all of those parameters so we can very quickly type in whatever is being discussed, push enter, and it'll spit out what that distribution would look like, how decentralized it is, a couple other metrics and graphs and Excel sheets and fun stuff just to analyze before making that decision. So those are the 3 big deliverables I'm excited about here, both of which, all 3 of which need a little bit extra refining and new features, and I'm going to keep bug testing them, but I'd like to say that I'm out of the woods on all 3. We've also made a pretty big effort to ramp up communication efforts. That includes in office hours that we continue today on the Gno.land Discord with the community. Anyone can pop in and out as they'd like. The town halls, the Atom 1 ones with Jay and Johnny and similar calls there. Articles for both projects, Gnoland and contributing to Atom 1, and just general communication efforts, hanging out on the Discords and Twitter and etc., and trying to make more of a dedicated effort to do that and kind of bridge engineering with marketing a little bit. And then we just recently started today, and we'll be talking about it in a meeting following this. I'm sure some meetings next week as well. around how we're going to deter bad actors for the validators, since we're not necessarily, we could, but not necessarily having people lock tokens to become a validator. If they're not locking tokens, and kind of regardless, we'll have to, if Tendermint tells us something wrong happened, we'll have to lock their account and manually review it or have some other deterrent system. So we're kind of drafting out pros and cons there, and we'll start that conversation in earnest here over the next week or so, I'm sure. And yeah, that'll hopefully all three of those will be done within the next couple weeks. Those are going to be the priorities moving forward.
Okay. Thanks, Michael. And we've got about 5 more minutes. Not sure where, well, we can move on. Okay, so off to VM and No, section 4.
Yeah, so I'm rapping again. Okay. There was a bug fix contributed by Maxwell to fix expressions like byte slices, conversions from strings to byte slices, which were treated as constant expressions. Well, as you may know, these are immutable and they shouldn't. This was leading to all kinds of weird behavior, like the fact that you could like change this in an iteration of a for loop, and then you check the same variable, and at the second time in the for loop, and it would have changed, even though logically it shouldn't have. There's a link to, like, if you can just quickly click on 1570 on that, Michelle. Or
Sorry, on which one?
Yeah, okay, no, yeah, you were in the right one. Never mind. Yeah, so this was a bit weird, but it's been fixed by Maxwell. Thanks again. We have a significant milestone. Didn't I really talk about this? No, we didn't. We managed to merge through on the documentation the effective GNO document. This was quite a big undertaking, pioneered by Manfred. And this essentially is like a reference document for all kinds of useful patterns and like good guidelines for writing good GNO code. After a couple of years of experience, we can finally start putting down some things we started noticing and some suggestions to place. Do give it a read if you haven't. It's available on the documentation, so docs.gno.land. You can find it under the reference part of the documentation, or something else. Leon, please correct me if I'm wrong. Tomas kicked off some improvements regarding the precompile tool. Precompile tool, if you don't know, is the thing that basically enables you to convert GNO code into Go code, and essentially we basically only use it to check that to check for things which we don't currently have within the GNO VM. One of this is the fact that we don't check for having terminating statements. So if you have a function which doesn't have a return statement at the end of it, the GNO VM will just go and do all kinds of weird shit. So to avoid you putting that code into the blockchain, the precompile tool is there for that, together with the standard Go tooling. And Tomas has been kicking off some changes. I'll just skip also to what I'm planning for. I'm also planning to make some further work on this, possibly also in coordination with Tomas, to significantly improve it. Especially because I want to make it work correctly with native bindings, so that you can have. We don't need the STD shim library anymore, but that's another pair of hands.
I can 1606.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so 1606 is the solution to 1588. It was that array value and pointer type thing. The solution for 1606 was a single line which worked, but I'm here suggesting a slight alternative to that single line. Instead of calling base of tv.t.lm, which you can see when you click through to that link on line 2536 in values.go, it's what we should do is the solution is in the description. We should say base of tv.t and type assert to pointer value and then call lm. It's reading the code now, looking back at it. It's an obvious solution from just looking at the method implementation and the intent. But Ray helped a lot with his gist and his analysis of how things were being stored. And it was pretty clear that base of tv.t is never array type. And in retrospect, it should have been obvious because the case is a pointer value, so it should be a pointer type. And also what came out of it is that we are overloading the word base. So we used the word base in two cases that are completely different. One is when we have a named declared type. So when you name a type, you say, type my name, and then following that is the declaration or the type specification, right? And so when we name a type to, for example, I don't know, some structure, it's wrapping the actual type with a declared type. And so base of is really only for getting the underlying type of a declared type, right? So the other case where we use base is for the base object of a pointer value, right? Because a pointer value, the way it is stored, first you have to have a reference to the object, and pointer value also includes like an index or which part of the object it's referring to. So totally different, and I think maybe that's the right word to use. A base is the right word to use for pointer value because it's the base object. I think I don't think Go uses the word base for underlying, right? So maybe the solution to help disambiguate is to replace base of with underlying of, and to replace the base field in declared type to be underlying. That's it. So please read the comments. It'll help with understanding the situation. Maybe we should make an issue to replace base of with underlying of and so on, but that's another issue entirely. Thanks. Oh, I guess we still need to test it. I haven't really tested this solution, so Ray, maybe if you can take a look at this and see if everything makes sense, even with your test cases, that'd be great. Ray's here. Ray's not here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been talking with her about it.
Okay. Thank you, Dylan.
So I'll just finish up on the Gno VM. I think we need to wrap up very quickly.
Yeah.
Refactor recompilation tool. Dylan's been crushing it with fixing recover bugs, and we're adding support for Gnoland. Off to Milosh for the last notes on the Tenderman 2.
Yeah, so there was a point here that there's nothing new for Chinaman 2, but we actually have a few efforts in the pipeline. We mentioned the consensus engine improvements that we're working on. We have some PRs open for, albeit draft, but coming soon as an open PR for managing transaction results. So fetching transaction results. Some PRs that improve the WebSocket client, add the ability so you can connect to the node as like WebSocket. Right now it's only HTTP. PRs that add like batch support for WebSocket connections and stuff like that. So lots of little goodies coming to Tenderman 2 soon.
Great. Doesn't leave us much time for questions and answers. Does anyone have any burning questions with all of the updates from the team, or shall we tackle them on GitHub?
I think we really got to wrap this up.
Yep. Okay. Thanks everyone for your time. We will see you next week. Actually, John will be taking over next week. I'm on vacation. So yeah, see you next week for the contributor call.
All right.
Bye.
Enjoy your vacation.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Annyeong.
Bye, guy.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.